Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now. It is Thursday, November 19th. I'm Stephanie Haney here with your top headlines from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Thank you very much for choosing to be here today. We start off with breaking news out of Governor Mike DeWine's press conference. In Ohio, we now have our first county that has reached the level 4 purple level on the Ohio Public Health Advisory System. This county is Franklin County, where Columbus is located. In Franklin County, this is now the second week in a row where the county has seen increases in 6 of the 7 indicators used to determine where a county falls in that public health advisory system. As a reminder, level 4 is described as severe exposure and spread of COVID-19 within the county, and the state says that people should only leave their homes in a level 4 purple alert county for supplies and services. As of today, there are now also 3 counties that are on the purple watch list. What this means is that they have seen increases in 6 of the 7 indicators for 1 week. But in order to rise to the purple level 4 level, that needs to happen for 2 weeks in a row. So those 3 counties, including 2 here in Northeast Ohio that are on that purple watch list, are now Lake and Lorain, as well as Montgomery County. Now, throughout of the state of Ohio, there are no longer any yellow counties. That's that level 1 alert. Now, every single county in Ohio is either orange, level 2, red, level 3, or 1 now at purple, level 4. Governor Mike DeWine said today that almost all counties are seeing more cases and more healthcare use, and he stressed this: there is nowhere in the state of Ohio where we can borrow medical professionals from if a specific county begins to get overwhelmed. So that's something to keep in mind. Another thing the governor said during his press conference this afternoon, there is a bill being considered in the Senate. It's Senate Bill 311. This bill, if passing the Senate and signed and presented to the governor to be signed into law, Governor Mike DeWine said he would veto the bill. This bill would limit the ability of the Ohio Department of Health to issue orders to prevent the spread of infectious diseases. Governor Mike DeWine gave this example. He said under this bill, if it were to be passed, he or a future leader in the state of Ohio, with the direction of the Ohio Department of Health, wouldn't be able to require someone from another country to quarantine if they came to the state of Ohio, perhaps if that country were experiencing an Ebola outbreak, for example, unless we could prove that that person had direct exposure with Ebola. That's one reason why Governor Mike DeWine said, under the advisement of medical professionals, that he would veto this bill if it is presented to him to be signed into law. Now, yesterday, 2 counties issued stay-at-home advisories. Those counties were Cuyahoga and Franklin counties, and now Summit County has also issued its own stay-at-home advisory. This is through December 16th, urging people to stay home to the greatest extent possible due to the risk of COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations rising in Summit County. Under the advisory, residents are asked, because this is an advisory, not an order, only to leave home to go to work or school or for essential needs like medical care, going to the grocery store or the pharmacy, or picking up food. The other things in the advisory in Summit County include asking employers to move as many people to working from home as possible, for residents to avoid traveling out of the state, and not to welcome people into your home, including for the upcoming holiday season, as medical professionals and officials here in Ohio are very concerned about the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday in terms of possible spread for COVID-19. Also, businesses and local governments have been asked to move as many of their functions as possible online to remote, and schools have been directed to monitor cases within their community. The advisories, again, not the orders, these effective through the 16th in both Cuyahoga County and Summit County, and also for 4 weeks in Franklin County. Now, the statewide curfew that Governor Mike DeWine has put into effect, that 10 p.m. curfew, that goes into effect tonight. That's through 5 a.m., and that's for the next 3 weeks. As a reminder, businesses will be required to close at 10 p.m. for in-person operations, but they still will be allowed to stay open after 10 p.m. for pickup, carry-out, and delivery operations, and people are expected to be home at 10 p.m. Governor Mike DeWine did specify, though, we're not going to be in a situation where police are pulling people over after 10 p.m., but if people are seen congregating outside of homes at 10 p.m. and in large groups, then they will be possibly presented with police asking them, hey, what are you doing? You need to get home. This is technically a second-degree misdemeanor, punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $750 fine, according to our previous reporting on this matter. Again, that goes into effect tonight at 10 p.m. Now let's talk about the latest COVID-19 numbers from the Ohio Department of Health. Yesterday, we had incomplete data, and Governor Mike DeWine in his press conference explained why that was today. Here in Ohio, there's sort of a double-checking system that the Ohio Department of Health does, and he says that since Monday, there are about 12,000 cases that are delayed in being reported because of a delay in double-checking that data. Now, if you look at the increase in our numbers over the past several days, for those 12,000 cases to be spread out since Monday, that puts our increase in cases quite a bit over the 7,000 number that we're seeing. Now, Governor Mike DeWine said he didn't want to jump to any conclusions because we do have that double-checking system here in Ohio, but he said in the past, for the most part, most of those cases are expected to check out as confirmed and probable COVID-19 cases. So we are expecting those numbers over the past days to increase over what we've seen. But what we have seen right now in the last 24 hours is 7,787 completely confirmed new COVID-19 cases. Now, again, those 12,000 cases that still need to be confirmed since Monday will be spread out over the past week. So that number will likely go up. Now, let's take a look at what we know about our positive rate now as well, based on that same idea that, again, there are a great chunk of cases right now that still need to be confirmed. But right now, the 7-day average for the positive rating is 12.9% of the tests coming back positive for COVID-19. And the last daily positive rate is at 14%. 63 more people have been reported to die related from COVID-19 in the last 24 hours, and there have been 343 new hospital admissions in the last day. This is the highest number of patients we've had in the hospital since the pandemic began, since it started touching us here in Ohio. That number is now at 3,829 people currently in the hospital being treated for COVID, and 943 of those people are being treated in the ICU. So that's about 1 in 4 people that are hospitalized for COVID being treated in the ICU. Taking a look at the global and the national COVID-19 numbers, the U.S. has seen 1 million new COVID-19 cases in the last 7 days, bringing that number now, based on Johns Hopkins University's reporting, to 11,602,736. And yesterday, the U.S. hit the grim milestone of over 250,000 reported COVID-19 deaths, and that number today is now at 251,328. When we compare the U.S. numbers to the global numbers, here in the U.S., we've got 4% of the global population, but 20.5% of the global cases and 18.5% of the global deaths. Globally, there have been almost 2 million new COVID-19 cases in the last 4 days. That number is now at 56,593,622, and the total number of deaths reported globally is now at 1,355,143. Airbnb, of all places, is now doing its part to try and crack down on the spread of COVID-19 across the U.S., across the world, and specifically here in Cleveland. There have been 25 listings in the city of Cleveland that have gotten complaints for violating policies or for having parties and events, and those are now suspended or have been completely removed from the Airbnb platform. They've also had a similar party house crackdown in Columbus and Cincinnati, where listings have been suspended or removed. Now, Airbnb announced a global ban on what it calls party houses back in 2019, and they also launched a 24/7 neighborhood support hotline. This is for neighbors to call and reach a trained agent to actually share their concerns, because it has in the past been difficult to reach customer support on Airbnb. And it was issues that were raised by Ohioans that directly led to some of these suspensions that were announced today by Airbnb in Ohio and specifically in the city of Cleveland. Now, Airbnb also has other restrictions that have been put in place on booking of entire homes by guests that are under the age of 25, and they've expanded manual screenings as well to check what they call high-risk reservations that are flagged by their automated systems. And the entire goal of this is to help to stop reservations that might lead to unauthorized parties before they start, to stop spreading to stop the spread of COVID-19. And Airbnb says that since they've instituted this policy, almost 200 reservations have been blocked in Ohio since its launch. Now, we've been talking a lot about Thanksgiving coming up next week, and the CDC does officially recommend that Americans do not travel because of the rise in COVID-19 cases. The CDC says, in case you haven't heard it enough yet, that traveling could increase someone's chances of getting or spreading COVID-19. So this is an urging from the CDC. It's recommended. It's not enforced. Obviously, there's a lot of that going around right now. We're seeing these advisories, but not necessarily orders. And these officials really counting on people to get the message and take it upon themselves to take these safety precautions to help stop the spread of COVID-19. The CDC's Dr. Henry Walk said that, as we said earlier, more than 1 million COVID cases have been reported in the U.S. over the last 7 days. And as these cases continue to rapidly increase across the U.S., the safest way to celebrate Thanksgiving is at home with the people that you live with. The doctor said that we do understand that people want to see their family and relatives and they want to do what they've always done, but this year the CDC is asking people simply to limit their travel. Here in Northeast Ohio, a lot of people are paying attention to what's happening with the Cleveland Browns roster because there have been some COVID-19 concerns there. Well, head coach Kevin Stefanski said today that Myles Garrett is expected to return to practice on Friday after being out on Wednesday and Thursday. Now, Garrett wasn't out related specifically to COVID-19, but he wasn't feeling well, an unspecified illness. So because of the enhanced protocols that the NFL is operating under right now, he was kept away from the team, expected to be back on Friday, and expected to be on the field on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles. He said also that right tackle, Stefanski said this, Jack Conklin and kicker Cody Parkey could return to practice on Saturday. They are on the COVID-19 watch list right now. Now, long snapper Charlie Hewlett was back at practice today as well. He actually wasn't placed on the COVID reserve list, as the team had previously announced. So if Conklin and Parkey come back, that would leave only fullback Andy Janovich and offensive lineman Chris Hubbard on the COVID-19 reserve list for Sunday's game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, right now, that game is set to be played at First Energy Stadium on Sunday, but Cuyahoga County is also under a stay-at-home advisory where people are expected or asked to stay home except for essential activities. So this is leaving many people wondering what will happen with that home game on Sunday in terms of fans being in the stadium. Only time will tell it, but again, remember that Cuyahoga County situation is an advisory, not an order. But here's how the Ohio High School Athletic Association is handling things. They have moved this weekend's state football championships from Columbus to Massillon. So those 6 title games will be played at Paul Brown Tiger Stadium instead of Fortress Obetz in southeast Columbus. This is because of the advisory issued by the Franklin County Department of Health and the Columbus Department of Health. And also, by the way, now we know Franklin County is at that level for purple alert. So the games have been recommended not to be played in Franklin County. So the OHSAA executive director said that the 12 schools, they want to play, and they are thankful that they are accepting of this change. There was a particular wrinkle in this, though. Massillon Washington High School's home stadium, Paul Brown Tiger Stadium, of course, that's their home field. Well, one of the games is going to be played between Massillon and Akron Archbishop Hoban High School. That's the Division II title game. Well, Hoban has agreed to play at Massillon's home field, but they'll be designated the home team in the game. So OHSAA is very thankful and appreciative of Hoban for agreeing to that, and for all of the teams for agreeing to make that last-minute change for that game to be played in Stark County. Paul Brown Tiger Stadium also has previously hosted the OHSAA Football State Championships. They did that from 1990 through 2013, so it is definitely a natural choice since the game is not recommended to be played in Columbus, where they were planning it. Speaking of staying home over Thanksgiving, by the way, Target has released its Black Friday ads, so they will have deals starting on Sunday. And those deals, here is the big deal here. There will be price adjustments through Christmas Eve. So the Black Friday Now deals start on Sunday. They'll go through Black Friday. Target isn't open on Thanksgiving, so remember that, but they will be open again on Black Friday. And if you buy something in those Black Friday Now deals and the price drops between now and December 24th, you can get a price adjustment on that. So no reason to think you'll be missing something out if you're not hitting those Black Friday deals. Target doing its part to keep people out of those large shopping crowds, which again, all of the medical experts are recommending that we do. One more thing before we go here. There was a stowaway owl found in the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, which is in New York City now. It stowed away for 3 days, this little guy, as the tree traveled from Oneonta, New York in upstate New York to Rockefeller Center. And it was one of the crew members who found the owl, and the crew member's wife called a wildlife preserve, the Ravensburg Wildlife Center in Saugerties, New York. Now they have the owl. They've named him Rockefeller. He's a saw-whet owl, by the way. This is one of the smallest owls in Northeast Ohio. We have pictures of this little guy up on WKYC.com. He's absolutely adorable. You have to check him out. The reservation gave him fluids. They gave him food. And they said that once he checks out with a vet and has a clean bill of health, he'll be released and will continue his wild and wonderful journey. Now, some people were worried about not taking the owl, who they've named Rockefeller, back to Oneonta, but the center did say that this particular type of owl finds a new mate every year and will definitely be able to find safe spaces in Saugerties, New York. The center said they think it might be even more traumatic to try and take the owl back to where he came from, and that there are plenty of trees, acres and acres of trees to choose from at the Ravensburg Wildlife Center. Which brings me to my last question for you today. As somebody who is thinking about dabbling in houseplants, that's become very popular during this pandemic. I've seen it all over social media. Here's my question for you. Does a Christmas tree count as a houseplant? I'm saying yes, because you are literally taking that tree out of the ground, you're putting it in some water, and you're putting it in your house. But there are people who disagree. I have a Twitter poll up. You can find that at _Stephanie Haney, and I would love to know what you think about it. So let me know. That's it for your 3 News Now update today for Thursday, November 19th. I will see you next on What's New at 5 p.m. in the Clicking in Cleveland Trending Stories segment, and I'll see you back here for more 3 News Now tomorrow. Everyone stay safe and be well. I'll see you shortly. I'm Stephanie Haney.